Welcome back. Let's talk meal planning. So there's a couple of reasons why meal planning is extremely important. Meal planning, number one, helps you stay on track. You've set a goal. You don't want to let midday hunger or not planning ahead to throw you right off track. So it really helps keep you focused. Second reason why meal planning is so great is because it helps you track and control your portion sizes. You know, we could be eating the healthiest diet ever, but if we eat a little bit too much of even the good stuff, it can actually work against us. So I'm going to go through a couple of different ways that you can really make meal planning successful. So first and foremost, when you go to the grocery store and buy your fruits and veggies that are really important to have, one of the things I like to do is cut them up right away and maybe even throw them into a Tupperware or some sort of container that they are ready to grab and go from the fridge. So sometimes if you come home and you see there's celery in the fridge, you might be like, I'm not gonna have that because it's gonna take time to cut it up. So cut it up right away and it's ready to grab and go. The next thing is prepare your food in containers. I'm not a huge fan of plastic containers, but the reason why I do like them once in a while is, let's say you've got a couple of containers full of food and you've got to carry it around in your lunch kit through the day. Some of those glass containers, although they're amazing to carry food in, can get a little bit heavy. So you decide, try to get a nice high quality container to make sure that your food stays safe. Some of the little containers are great. I love these little Ziploc containers, but again, if you are not a plastic fan, these are my second best. I love mason jars. You can get them in all sorts of sizes, and they're great for carrying small or large portions of food. Now let's talk a little bit about how, when you're planning your meals, how should your plate look? Well, first and foremost, let's just break it down into breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So when we are planning for our breakfast, remember when we talked in the last video that carbohydrates are your fuel? That's when you're going to eat them for energy. So breakfast is going to be the meal that you want the majority of your carbohydrates to be at. Whenever possible, you want half of your meal at breakfast to be carbs and half of your meal at breakfast to be protein. So just think half and half. You're going to kickstart your day with lots of energy, with the carbohydrates being there, and the protein is going to keep you feeling satisfied. Now think about lunch. Now for lunch, we want half of our plate to be veggies, we want a quarter of our plate to be protein, and a quarter of our plate to be carbohydrates. When we focus on that, we have our protein to keep us satisfied, a little recovery and repair. Of course, we've got our veggies, the nice fibrous filled veggies that's going to keep us full as well, and then our little bit of carbohydrates, again, to keep us going through the day. Now let's talk dinner. Now with dinner, we want the majority of our plate to be vegetables. So let's say 3/4 of the plate are vegetables and a quarter of the plate to be protein. We're coming to the end of our day. We probably don't need a lot of energy, which means we probably don't need a lot of carbohydrates. Now, unfortunately, this is the time of day that most people really crave carbs. So your nighttime carb craving snacks, do your best to keep it to fruits, your whole food carbohydrates. Now you might find when you start to shift your eating to having a little bit more carbohydrates for breakfast and lunch, nighttime, you might not be craving them quite as much. So let's just have a quick peek of what this might look like on a plate. Now I've just, for simple visual, threw a few things together. So on this plate, we've got a quarter of the plate protein. So here I'm using tempeh for protein. Tempeh is made from the edamame bean, and it's a very healthy, complete protein. Of course, any of your other lean meats, fish, eggs, those sorts of things, if you are a meat eater, and if you're a plant-based eater, your tempeh, your tofu, those sorts of things will be your best protein sources. Then you've got a quarter of your plate would be a complex carbohydrate, or other carbohydrate. We've got some brown rice here in this little bowl. Of course, this is uncooked, obviously you're gonna cook it. And then half of your plate is vegetables. So kind of when you look at it this way, it breaks it down really easy and allows you to pretty much stay in control of your food without it being too strict. Now, in saying that, in this little mini program here, and in the 6-week Love Yourself Healthy program, you've got meal plans to follow. So you've either got a 3-day meal plan to follow in this mini course, or in the 6-week Love Yourself Healthy program, you've got a 6-week meal plan complete with recipes. You might not follow it to a T, but it's a great way to start. So let's get meal planning, let's stay on track, and let's control our portions.